Well, hello and welcome back. We're playing Creativerse once again, and this is the second episode of creating the origin system. So in the last episode, we started by setting up a little base, we gathered a couple of resources, and we built ourselves a stone mining cell and a stone sword that we can better protect ourselves. What we're really doing in this episode is having a look at the various tools that are needed for farming in this game, what creatures you want to be taming early on in the game. There are two options in terms of this particular creature. It has two different variants, one for stun bombs and another one for the freeze bombs, which you're going to need later on. On top of that, the main focus of this episode is going to be to show you how to mine, different ways that can be done. We have moved mines since the previous episode, and we came across this one, which I thought was perhaps a better one to demonstrate what we're going to be doing now. So what you're going to do is you're going to start by just creating a sort of flat area that you can go out from here. You want to drop down torches every fourth block, like I'm doing here. We've got one more this way, and then we'll just do 3 shafts for this demonstration. Now, what you can do from here on out now is you just basically head in one of these directions. There you can see that the light is starting to diminish a bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th one you're going to drop down a torch. So I'm just going to mine this out real quick, drop down a couple of torches, and I'll speak about the second method that you can use. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at what we basically managed to get in these 3 shafts. So we're just going to run through. So the reason why we do the shafts like this, 2 apart, is we can now see what is basically on both sides. Here you can see we got some magnemite. This is useful for teleporters, which we're going to need later anyway. If we run along here, we've got some more coal up here. Right, so mostly magnemite, a little bit of coal that we found here. So you got some obsidian here, and then just dig around the area to then see if there's any more. In these 4 blocks, you're going to be getting 21 obsidian using the super extractors that you can get from your login bundles, because this is going to give you the biggest harvest. Yeah, that is method 1 in terms of mining. It is rather slow, but it is cheap in terms of resources. Now the second option I want to show looks a little bit different and is substantially quicker. However, this method is not going to be available to you from the beginning, with the exception, again, if you got lucky and you managed to get some epic login bundles, super excavators will allow you to use these basically on any block in the game. I'm just creating a shaft here. It needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Alright, and you can drop the extractor down like so, and using our rotation key by holding down R, you can turn it like this. And as you can see, this is a much quicker way to find various resources. It'll also, anything that it excavates up, it will put into a neat little bag for you, and you can just go ahead and pick that up. This makes finding things like obsidian, diamond, and iron substantially easier. I'm going to drop these down and we'll just grab those. This version of mining is substantially more expensive. Now, a basic version will require 2 gunpowder. You will need iron bars and you will need obsidian bars, which again is why it's nice that we now have the option of these daily bundles, because it allows us to mine up resources like, for example, the iron with super extract before we have actually unlocked these later. So just to recap, the 2 options for mining we have are the mining shafts like I've demonstrated here, as well as using excavators. And I will see you in a second once we get back to the base. Now, moving on to the second part of this episode, I want to show you the different options we have for the various farming tools. Now, we're going to need a taming collar to tame the various creatures. For this we need stone, which we've already collected up. We have red mushrooms. We can actually use any mushrooms. Red just are the earliest ones that you're going to come across. Same is true for the various different flowers in the game. And then the stone rods, which we process from the stone blocks. I'm going to go ahead and create a taming collar for now. So we're going to head over to the farm, which I have set up. And here we have a couple of cooking stations, as well as on top here. I thought this kind of looks like extractors. Alright, so how do you actually go about creating various foods and whatnot? You're going to need various different types of waters. Now here I've set up a room with a couple of the liquids that I've collected in the game already. We have mineral water, we have bog water, which comes from the swamp biome, we have molasses, which comes from the snow biome, and we have tar, which can be found in the stalactite layer. But all we need right now is your standard water, so I can just come here and suck that all up, and I only need 2, I believe, so that's sufficient. Alright, so once you have some obsidian, some stone rods and water, we can now make our washes. So I'm going to go ahead and make 2 of those. The plows, which require stone rods, obsidian and stone. Go ahead and make 2 of those as well. And of course our cooking stations, which also need obsidian, and we need stone slabs, stone rods and coal for that. Okay, do we have space for one more? Yeah, I suppose we technically do. So we'll add in an extra column of cookers here. So those are the 4 different tools, but that's all good and well. How do you actually use them? Well, let's jump right into it. I think the best thing to start with is with the plow. Okay, so the way that plants interact with the world is as follows, right? So in order for a plant to grow, it needs to be within 1 block of water. What I have actually done underneath here, which I will demonstrate quickly, is I do have flowing water underneath. Now, what you would typically do is you would have this sort of construction. You have 1 block away from each other, and you simply go and drop down a water block underneath like this. Now this water should stop flowing. Do sort of a checkerboard thing like this and remove those blocks in between. Then what you do is above this you then place some ground. So you can use dirt, but you can also use grass like this. So we place that above, and now we can go ahead and use our plow. Now I just need to remember which way I was facing when I did this. The other way. Now you do have the option, if you go back to your mining tool, if you stand on the side here in fact. So hold down R and click with your mouse to spin the block. Alright, and then you go ahead and you plow the land like this. And once you have done this and you do have the water underneath, then you can go ahead and plant the various seeds. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm just going to chuck all of these seeds down onto our ground. These are the 4 basic plant types that you are going to be using for the purposes of feeding your pets. So we have wheat, which I think I mentioned in the previous episode. You can get the seeds from this from tall grass. Then you have turnips. Turnips you often find underneath trees. Lettuce as well. Horned melon, I believe you find in the biome where you find the sort of fire weasel things. But yeah, here you have all 4 of them, and this is what they look like when they are grown. Now as you can see above there, it says grown. There is actually a stage in between this called ripe. Now they will give 1 plant back. If they are ripe, they will give 2 back. So that's why it's sometimes quite handy if you are farming stuff up to stick around in the area so you can harvest them when they are still ripe. What's interesting about the way that this game works is you use a combination of these different types of vegetables or plants to create the different food types. I'll take all of the water just to demonstrate how that sort of works. So if we go over here to our cooking station now, you can see we have 5 different types of main recipes. But the way that this actually works, for example, if I use soup as my base recipe, it then asks for 3 different ingredients. So you have liquids, vegetables, and the third option, which is simply just an ingredient. This is going to change the sort of the variant of what you're making. Say I were to use normal water, you can just any standard vegetable, lettuce or melons. Here we're going to get a basic soup from, right? Using tar as your liquid is going to turn the resulting soup into a tar soup. Tar soups can be used in place of coal. They also have a fuel heat level of 10, which means they're going to smelt things down incredibly fast. I believe it's something like a couple of seconds. You also have the option to add mineral water. This is going to make a wholesome soup, which is going to give you different stats. So for example, you're going to get a max health boost as well as healing over time, whereas bog water is going to give you max health boost, but then give you poison resistance. Now this is if you're going to eat these particular foods as a player, but the other option of course is feeding these to our different tames. Now it becomes important to have all of these different things at your disposal so that you can meet the needs of your various different tames. Now you can see here I've collected up a bunch of keepers. What I like to do is in their name just highlight what particular food they want. I think I have to click and drag, because if you click on it you're going to eat it yourself. Drag it over to him here, thumbs up, he's happy, he's well fed, and we come back a little bit later and we're going to be able to get a reward from him. So yeah, we're gonna carry on with something else and then we'll come back and show you exactly what you get from that. We also do have various different tiers of keepers. You have, for example, the golden keepers here. This one wants a sandwich, and again just click and drag. The trogs, for example, do want wholesome bread, which is why it's important that you have all of the different types of water. We have not spoken about taming yet, so we're going to head out to an area where you can get the blizzard chizards, which is sort of the snow variant of the standard chizard. When it comes to taming creatures, there are in fact two different ways that one can go about this. One such way, which is the blocking off method. No, very much less effective, and of course, oh no, you bugger. Okay, of course you have to have quite a few blocks at your disposal to use this method. Oh, you plumbering buffoon. Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Best way to do this is close the box off first, and then it's time for Chizard Blizzard Hockey. Let's see if we can get him in the goal first. We've now locked ourselves in here with him. We now need our taming collar. Get him in the corner here. He's going to try and attack us. We do have pretty decent armor on. We've got diamond armor on at the moment. And as you can see, our snow meter is going up. You do want to bring a couple extra heals for this. So we've tamed him up. Oh, he's an expensive one. He wants corrupted soup. Alright, so that's option 1. So this is what you're going to be aiming for. You want to get one that just wants normal soup. It's a little bit cheaper to make, and it's going to be more accessible to you as a new player. The other option for getting the Chizard Blizzards is of course just to simply kill them. You can also dismiss creatures like this one who are a bit too expensive, and you will get the Blizzard Chizard Gizzard. It is useful for the freeze bomb. This I will demonstrate more in a later episode though. Okay, so the other option is you can use your stun bombs. Stun bombs you can also get from treasure chests as well as from your explosive expert. We'll show that in a sec. So you just right click while that's selected and you start your tamer. Yeah, we're going to dismiss this one as well, because he's got way too expensive taste. Right, and that is how you tame creatures using either stun bombs or your blocking off method. So as you can see, we're now back and our keepers are now able to be harvested. So you're simply going to extract the different resources that they give you from them by mining them up like so. And we've gotten 10 arcstone from them as well as standard extractors, which is perfectly fine. Taming is also a good way to unlock different recipes. Once you have then completed the extraction, you can then use your washer like this, and you're going to just hose them off. In a few minutes you're going to be able to feed them again, but for the time being this keeper is content. So that is going to be it for this episode. Thanks again for watching. If you found this interesting, please give us a like, and if you haven't already and you find these episodes useful, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're returning back from the previous episode, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the third episode.